All right, we are here. I came in a little bit late, yeah, a couple minutes, but that's okay. I can do a couple minutes late. Like a couple minutes late to me is nothing. I mean, come on, life goes on. It doesn't hurt anybody. I I've had some pretty good issues with vehicles lately. My truck, as I've said many times, had to go in for a lifter replacement, and it turned out that the oil pressure off the pump was 60 psi. The lifters were replaced. They still had the tapping noise, so they were replaced again. New gaskets, new everything. Hello, Annabore. How we doing? Robin, eh? The lifters were replaced twice, and it turned out to be that it wasn't a lifter issue. It was an oil issue. It wasn't pumping oil to the top of the motor. And I went to my mechanic, and I said, "How we doing?" He says, "Not good." He said, "I took the valve cover off your truck, and the oil's not pumping out the top of the valves to spray over the hood and me. It's just barely going up and drooping out." He says, "I don't understand this." I said, "All right, great. I'll go home. I'll do some research. You got the weekend off. You do some research." This is last, I think, Thursday or Friday. I think Friday. And it turned out to be that the engine itself was so clogged up with carbon. I came up with a video that had a thing that was called, I don't remember the name of it now. Motor mechanic or something like that anyway. I had it wrote down, but I got rid of what I wrote down because I told the mechanic, "Hey, try this." And he's like, "Yeah, I watched that video too, and I just ordered some." The guy that did that video had a diesel truck. Hi, Charlene. Hey, Julie, how you doing? Or Julia, I'm sorry. Malvadani, how you doing? So I went to him and I told him about this product, and he's like, "Yeah, I watched that video too." But this guy that did the video, he had a diesel truck. It was a Chevy truck, but he had 250,000 miles on this truck, and he always did his oil changes every 3,000 miles. And he told everybody, in the video, he says, "Well, when I put the oil in and I take the oil out, it's just as clean coming out as it is going in." And he did this motor flush, and that oil not only came out really, really black, but it also had a lot of white in it. And he couldn't figure out what the white was. And to this day, I don't think he ever did. So I'm telling my mechanic, "Hey, try this. Maybe this is the issue. Maybe it's just a lot of carbon buildup." I was told yesterday by a friend of mine that went there to get their vehicle inspected while my truck was in the garage and he was working on it, that it worked. And I'm like, "Well, that's a lot cheaper than tearing off the bottom." But if you take the oil pan out of my truck, you have to remove all the four-wheel drive components from the front in order to get the oil pan out. That's a lot of money. I mean, mechanic fees are terrible. It's over $100 an hour right now. And he's already had this in the shop. I think we're talking 9 months now, maybe. I mean, I haven't been able to camp all year long, so the whole camping season anyway. And now we're like a week later or 2 weeks later. But my friend, when he went there to get his vehicle inspected, said, well, he said he was able to get oil to come up out of the top of the motor. So I'm hoping that was, this, whatever the blend was, motor mechanic or whatever. I'm hoping that was the case because I don't want him to tear the motor down anymore. He's already done it twice on the top end. I don't want him to have to go down and do the bottom end too. So I got my fingers crossed, kind of hoping I get my truck back soon. And I've got the money to pay him because I have a certain amount set aside for this. I've had it set aside all year long. If it doesn't cover the whole bill, I'm going to be fighting to be able to make that bill paid off. But I've got my resources, so I should be all right. And then last week, my brand new car, 2023. Not brand new anymore, but it was 2023. It started acting up. If I wanted to go anywhere, I had to give it a jump start. And to give you an idea of how upset I was getting about it, I've got one in my pocket. I went out and I bought the Die Hard Pocket Jump Start because it was the only one charged in the store because I didn't have mine on me for jump starting the car. I drove it to them and I said, hey, put this on your tester, check the alternator, check the battery, check everything. And they came out and they said the starter was only getting like 9 or something like that volts. So it wasn't enough to turn the car over. And I was like, okay. Robin, don't worry about misspelling things. We misspell things all the time. Words are hard. So I went and bought that, so I had it in my pocket. So if I didn't have my big jump start pack with me, at least I had something with me to be able to start the car. And I had a jump start everywhere I went. If I drove somewhere and it took me 45 minutes to get there and I shut the car off for 10 minutes, I'd have to jump start it. And it got to the point where it was so annoying. Even if I didn't have to physically get out of the car to jump start it, if I pushed the start button in my car and it turned over, I'd reach down, I'd open the hood, and before I could get out of the car would start. Well, now you got to get out, you got to open the hood, and you got to close the hood in order to get the latch. So it was a real pain in the butt. So I took it back to the dealership last week, and they wanted me to leave it for a day, and I'm like, all right, where do you want me to sleep? It's the only vehicle I'm driving right now. My truck is in the shop. I do have another car, but I can't leave Canandaigua, New York, which is 2.5 hours away, and come back to my house to get to my other car. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, well, what do I do? What do I do? And they were like, all right, you want to bring it back next week sometime? We'll pick a day and we'll set you up with a loaner car. And I said, yeah, I do. Well, they gave me a loaner car. Same make, same model, not the same series of the model. Mine is a limited. It's a Hyundai Elantra Limited 2023. They gave me a 2024 Hyundai Elantra, but it's not limited. There's a difference. And I don't know what all that difference is. I know it costs more money for mine than this one, but I don't like it, to be honest with you. I actually despise this car. It doesn't get the same gas mileage. When you're driving down the road, now I live in the country. There are no speed limit signs. So when there's no speed limit signs, you know your speed is 55. It tells me all the way to my house it's 45 until I go to back in my driveway and that says 55. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing 55 in my driveway. Sorry, I only got so much room to back up before I hit a building, the seat house. So I'm like, yeah, you guys aren't right on this. But it also tells you every time it comes up to a sign that shows a curve or an S curve, a speed limit sign, a yield sign, a stop sign, even if it's not on the road you're on, it puts that on the dashboard as well. And I'm like, I don't like this. This is not a feature I want. I never drive the speed limit. I always do 5 miles or more over the speed limit. Never more than 10 miles over the speed limit. But I always do at least 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. Well, it shows the speed limit and a little speed limit sign on the dash. And when you're driving that speed limit, it's black. If you're doing 2 miles over that speed limit or more, it turns red. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Hey, Greg and Gina, how we doing? So I don't like that feature. I don't know. I mean, maybe a lot of people would like it. If I want to know what the speed limit is on an area that I'm in, all I got to do is hit the navigation area where all the buttons are in the car. I can hit the map, and it'll tell me every speed limit of where I'm at. You go into the school zone, it'll tell you 20 miles an hour. If you're going through an area where it drops down to 35 miles an hour, it'll tell you 35 miles an hour. The dash doesn't do that. The dash lies to me. And actually, the map one did too. The map one said, oh, well, these roads that you're on are only 45 miles an hour. And I'm like, no, they aren't. If there's no posted speed limit on a road, that road is 55 miles an hour. But anyway, It doesn't drive the way mine does. It doesn't brake the way mine does. It doesn't handle the way mine does. It doesn't get the gas mileage that mine does. And it's a year newer. If they can't figure out the problem to what's going on with my car, they have to replace it. Same make, same model, same year, and same color. This one's not the same color. This one's kind of a greenish gray. It shows everything. I took it to a car wash today. I drove probably 20 minutes to get home from the car wash, 25 minutes to get home from the car wash. It's dirty again. And I got to take it back clean. So it's like, okay, I got to take it back with gas. Well, I know what my car uses for gas. I don't know what this car is using. It cost me $33 to fill it up the second day I had it. So I'm like, I don't like it. Yeah, mine's a smart car, but it's not an electric. I will not buy an electric car. Now, my friends over there to Trenton Alley, they bought a Rivian truck. And I was like, are you nuts? You live in the mountains. You know, it's cold in the mountains of Utah. You live in the mountains. You drive that truck down into like Salt Lake City to pick something up and then drive it back home. Your battery's going to be dead if you can even get it to start when you get ready to leave. Because you live in the mountains of Utah. They're already talking. They're going to have winter before the end of October. I hope we don't. I've got a lot of projects going on that I don't want to see winter anytime. Actually, if I had my way about it, my winters would be 70 degrees. Straight up. Because I don't like being cold. You know? I mean, come on. I'm sitting up in my office right now with a flannel shirt on in New York. It's 66 degrees and cloudy. So I'm like, I don't like to be cold. But yeah, they went out and they bought that Rivian truck, and I was like, it's a pretty truck. I give you credit for that. You can't put full sheets of anything on the back of it because it's too small. It's electric, so you're on limited mileage. Now, if you're only going down to Salt Lake City and back up to the mountain, that mileage probably doesn't matter. But now, did you spend all that money for that truck? You just spent all that money for the charge pack that goes onto your wall to charge the thing. You can't just plug it into a regular electric cord. Yeah, Greg and Gina, I don't know if it's raining here right now or not, but it was earlier today. It was misting rain. I was over visiting my old landlord and his wife and son, and that's why I got the flannel on. It was misting rain, and that rain brought a little bit of a chill to the air. I think when I was over there, it was like maybe 61, 62 degrees because of the wind blowing against the rain. It lowered the temperature really, really heavy, and I really didn't care for it, you know. This is a super light flannel shirt. I mean, a t-shirt is probably the same thickness as this is, so it's not like it's a insulated heavy-duty flannel shirt like I will wear in the winter, but it's enough to say, hey, at least you got something on you. You know, your arms aren't bare. That was my thing. Your arms aren't bare. I do have long sleeve t-shirts, and I could have put one of them on, and it probably would have done the same thing. But yeah, it was pretty weird. I've been talking about my truck being in the shop, and I believe this next week I may get my truck back. I believe. When my friend went over to get his vehicle inspected, he told him, he says, I don't have time to do it right now. Bring it back on Monday. And at that point, he was putting the valve covers back on my truck because he was able to get oil to the top of the motor. And he won't give it back to me just because he got oil going up. You know what I mean? He's a good mechanic. He will take it out. He'll do a test drive, just as he did last time. And if he doesn't hear the ticking of the lifters, it's not a knock. It's not like there's no oil. It's just a ticking of the lifter because it's not getting enough oil. He'll take it out for a test drive, and if it's not still ticking, then I get my truck back. But I told him right straight out, I says, if this motor stuff doesn't work, and I don't want to have to go this route, plan on changing the oil pump. Like I said, you got to tear the whole motor apart. You got to tear the whole front end of the truck apart to even get to it. So I'm hoping it doesn't become an issue. I don't want it to be. Actually, Julia, I hear you might have some coming your way, but I don't remember what I was watching. It was Ryan Hall y'all that was saying that you guys had some rain coming your way. I just watched Gary from Simple Life Reclaimed, and he's out working in a t-shirt and it's dry. So I don't know how true that is. They were supposed to get like a week worth of rain. Apparently, that's not happening. Hi, Len. How you doing? One thing I will say, and I've been working towards this one for a while. I don't know, maybe you guys got different TV channels than what I got here in New York, but they have a TV advertisement that goes up and says, "You want to quit smoking? Call 1-800-QUIT now." And I called them. I want to quit smoking. I'm 60 years old next month, the 10th. I want to quit smoking because I know it's not good for me, and I've known it all my life, but I've been doing it since I was 16 years old. Quit long enough in the military to get through basic training, and then started right back up after I graduated. So I know I need to quit. I'm confident as it is right now. You guys have seen me. And that turns out to be Caswell Park Cancer Institute that sends out patches and gum. And they called me after I did the thing, and they sent me the patches and the gum. They called me and they said, "How you doing on this?" And I says, "I'm not. I can't quit smoking until I don't have another cigarette left in my house." And today was actually supposed to be my original quit date. But yesterday, I was out mowing my lawn, and something told me, "Hey, look in the camper and see if you got any cigarettes hiding in there, because you're not going to be able to quit if you know you got a stash." I go in the camper, I find 4 more packs. So now it's going to be Monday. When I went to visit my ex-landlord and his wife and son and daughter or whatever, I told him, I says, "After Monday, don't plan on seeing me for a while." And he says, "Why not?" I says, "I plan on quitting smoking on Monday. And the first thing I'm going to do Monday is I'm going to go out and clean out my garage, because I have an employee who's been doing woodworking for me, and every flat surface has something on it that has to go." I was just telling Leah tonight, I would like nothing more than be able to get a roll-off dumpster brought in, put in the driveway, go through everything in that garage that I don't want, and add it to that dumpster, and then go through everything I don't need or want through this whole house. We got the attic. I'm upstairs. We got downstairs. We got a basement. The more space you have, the more crap you gather. So I just want to remove all of the crap. In the garage especially. I can't use my garage. I've got a 6-foot long assembly table that I know I'm going to need the top of that table to be able to glue boards. I can't see the top of that table. I bet there's stuff stacked up probably 2 feet over the top of that right now that just needs to go. He was out there working on different projects and doing different things. And that's fine. That's what I hired him for. But some of the ones that he was working on weren't for me. They were for him or for somebody else. And I'm like, yeah, I can't have this sitting in my shop where I need to have access to my wood shop. And I need to clean the wood shop out so I have access to it. Right now, it is like paths. I got a table saw. I got a chop saw. I got a really, really nice wide belt sander. I've got my planer. The planer I got to run outside. You can't dust collect on a planer. I don't know if you ever heard that or not. You can't dust collect on a planer, and you can't dust collect on a joiner. Well, I've got a big joiner and I've got a big planer. So my thought is, I bought a 10 by 10 4-walled white canopy. I'm going to set up out in the driveway, and the planer and the joiner are going to end up out there, because I don't care about sawdust ending up in the driveway. When the snow comes, the snowplow guy will just shove it out the driveway, and it becomes, fertilizer for the lawn or whatever. And so that's my plan. And so I got to get those 2 big items out. Right now, I can't get anything out because I have no room to get anything out the door at all, period. And the one door I could get it out has my assembly table in front of it that I need for glue up. And that assembly table is so loaded down, I can't. There's no place to be able to push it out of the way to get past it. I also have a really big wide belt sander that's an edge sander. So, I mean, I could probably use that instead of the joiner, but I can't collect the sawdust from it. It doesn't have sawdust collection. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm in a toss up with that one. But I have to have two good edges to be able to glue boards together with, and that's what the joiner does, and I guess that's what the wide belt sander would do. But both of them make a heck of a mess, and I don't have a way to put it into the dust collector. Yes, actually, Lindy Oki, I just seen Paul Honeyman yesterday on live, and he's doing well. He is doing very well. He's trying to limit his time, and that's where I'm coming to on this one. I'm going to be limiting my time too. He's trying to limit his time on how many lives he's on because, you know, when you're like Paul Honeyman or me and you spend all your time on YouTube, it really, really, really deters from the fact of how much time do you have for yourself and how healthy can you be. For me, I'm leaning towards after tonight, I may not go live for a while, you know what I mean? Because I'm going to be quitting smoking and that's going to drive me nuts. I know it is. As long as I keep busy, it's not going to be too bad. But if I'm sitting here at my computer, like even right now, I want a cigarette. You know, we've only been at this for 24 minutes, but I want a cigarette. I'll probably light one before we're done. I'll probably gag over it and then complain because I did it. But, it's just the way it is. But Paul Honeyman has been spending so much time on everybody's lives. He's not sleeping proper because, being in the UK or Australia or whatever, their time frames are totally different from ours. Totally different from ours. And because of that, he's not getting as a regular, like, I don't know what you call it, 8 hours sleep a night. He's probably getting 2 or 3, maybe 4. And then getting up and doing it all over again. So it's one of them things. Wow, that's a lot of okra. Melvin and Donnie, I will say this. Back when I first started my gardens, before I started the seed business, I bought okra because the flowers are beautiful. And I planted it with my corn, so I grew up my corn and put out these beautiful creamy yellow flowers and with the red tips inside of them and stuff. And that's the only reason why I grew up. And I had a guy stop by that was Mexican. And he's going, "Oh, you got okra?" No, I got okra flowers. And he's like, "No, you get okra." And I was like, "Yeah, I will get okra. Do you like okra?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "I don't. I think it's slimy and I'm not into it." And there you go. You want to come back when it's harvest season for the okra? Help yourself to every bit of it you want. I just grew it for the flowers. And it was pretty, you know. And he did. He came back. I don't know how many he harvested, but there was a lot. Every stalk of corn had an okra plant growing beside it. So all these okra flowers were growing up each stalk. Some stalks had 2 or 3 different plants growing into it because it doesn't always grow straight. But I only planted it for the flowers, and this guy wanted it, and I was like, "Take it." Lynn, I don't drink soda pop. I actually gave up soda pop. Ah, I want to say probably 14 years ago, maybe. I'll tell you what I do drink. Let me step off camera. I'll show you. I was watching somebody's channel, and they were talking about this product, and it was like, I don't know, $35 to get the trial pack, and it was like a mixed blend of everything, and I bought it. I wanted to try it. This is not a promoted video, by the way. I don't get paid by these guys, but Liquid IV. This Liquid IV has this little package for each serving, which is 16. Each stick has 8% of potassium, which is good. You know, you get muscle cramps, you need potassium. 70% vitamin C, 120% niacin, 110% vitamin B, E, 240% of vitamin B12, and 190% of pantothenic acid, or pantothenic acid. 24% sodium, which I need salt. I mean, I'm sodium deficient, so that's good. And then it includes 11 grams of added sugars, which is 22% of your daily requirement. I have multiple packs of this. It's not cheap, you know. I think I'm going to guess I bought 4 or 5 the last time I bought them. It was about $80. You just mix it with a bottle of water. Each one of these, let me pull one out. Each one of these has an area on top. You see how that part over there is wide open? And then this part over here is sealed. You just cut it off below the seal part, and that allows you to open it up and pour it into a water bottle. And then just shake it like crazy for a little bit, and you get everything you need. I'll be honest with you. It's all based on daily allowance, so you're getting all these 100+ numbers. I do one a day. Hey, Tasha Lynn, I didn't see you sneak in. There you are. You're here. That's right. Just got home from free fishing day. Oh, I didn't know today was New York's free fishing day. I would have gone. I just went and visited my ex-landlord just for something to do. If I'd known it was free fishing day, I would have gone. I got a John boat. Well, now I guess I probably wouldn't have gone. I got a John boat, but my truck is still in the shop, so I can't haul it. Bummer. Hi, Arlene. How we doing? So, yeah, I mean, to me, that Liquid IV is almost a lifesaver. I'm dehydrated. I'm low sodium. This is all stuff my home nurse told me while I was out with doing antibiotics by, I don't even know what they call it. It was a bottle mounted to my side that had a PICC line that went to my heart, and it just automatically fed it to my heart every so often or whatever for 24 hours, and then change the bottle and go back and do it again. But every week I had a home nurse that would test my blood, and she'd come back the next week and tell me what the results were. And she told me, you're totally dehydrated. Your sodium levels are really, really low. You need this, you need that. And I was like, all right, whatever. And I got looking at it, and I was like, oh, Liquid IV does everything I need to have done, you know? And because of that, I'm a firm believer. Like I said, there's 16 to a bag. Well, a whole case of water is only 48. Well, that's 3 bags. Or no, 24. It's not even 3 bags. It's like 1.5 bags. Yeah, a whole case of water is 24. I think. I don't know. I buy it at Walmart, and the bigger the package, the better I buy it. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's cheap. It's just water. But yeah, so I paid like, I don't know, $80 for that. So it's enough for probably, I'm going to say probably 4 cases of water. And you're only drinking 1 a day. So, you know, that's a month and a half supply. And if I can get rid of this, that month and a half supply is absolutely nothing to me. I can afford to smoke. I can't afford to destroy my health. So I'm sitting in that ballpark right now. You know, I have to quit. It's not because I can't afford it. It's because I don't want to be able to afford it. It's one of them issues where there's just certain things going on. And of course, you know, if you stay busy, especially with your hands, then you're not going to be thinking about, oh, I need a cigarette. I need this. I need that. I'm going to go up and drink a beer real quick and then I'll come out and finish this. No, you don't even think about it. If you're busy, it's just get done what you're doing. And that's what I like my wood shop about. I could work in my wood shop for 4 or 5 hours and never think about smoking a cigarette. And now that my car is back into the shop and I'm driving a loaner car, we drove all the way down to Veggie Boys on Wednesday. I took my mom with me. She's 90 plus years old. We drove down to visit the Oaks Farm Market in, I forget the name of the town now. I've been spitting it out all day long and I forget now. But anyway, we've been driving down to we drove down to Oaks Farm Market on Wednesday. And I was kind of hoping to meet the whole family. I met most of them. I met Matthew, Daniel, Pop, Aunt Becky. Grandma wasn't there. Andrew had the day off. And of course, I told Andrew, I says, hey, I'm going to come down and I'm going to bring my camera or maybe my phone. And maybe we can get some content to share on both channels. I get there and Aunt Becky says, oh, no, today's Andrew's day off. I was like, Crick didn't tell me he had a day off in the middle of the week or I would have waited till tomorrow to come down, But it didn't matter. I was actually able to go and buy a half bushel of really nice plum tomatoes, they call them. I call them Roma tomatoes, or my favorite would be like San Marzano. But I was able to get a half bushel for $14, and I've got that in a roaster right now on low because I'm not going to process the rest of the way till tomorrow. I pretty much cooked it all the way down and got in with the potato masher and mashed it up. But now I got to take it out. I'm going to do that tomorrow, probably pretty early, actually. I'm not going to wait for it to start raining because I'm pretty sure it's going to spend almost every day. But I'm going to go out there tomorrow and take a glass measuring cup and scoop it out of that roaster, put it into this new blender I got, which is a Cuisinart, I think. Yeah, Cuisinart. I'm going to put it in that new blender and I'm going to put it on puree and puree it because that'll grind up all the seeds and everything. And then pour it over into another pan. And once the roaster gets empty, as much as I can get it empty, I'm going to rinse it out with a garden hose real quick. And then take this pan and pour it back into the roaster and finish cooking it down so I can get rid of all the moisture. And I'm also going to cheat. I'm going to add, I got a gallon of ragu spaghetti sauce because it was on sale. If you can buy a gallon of spaghetti sauce and you have a canner, that's the best way to do it. You can put it down in any size jar you want. Well, I've got not only a water canner, I've also got a pressure canner. So I'm thinking tomorrow I'm going to probably take my crock pot first thing in the morning, fill it up with some meatballs and some other spaghetti sauce I've got, like Hunt's or whatever's in the can. Cook those meatballs up and get them thawed out. And I mean, I think they're already fully cooked anyway. They just need to be thawed out. But get them hot. I'm going to take half of those meatballs and I'm going to take that potato masher to them and I'm going to mash the meatballs up. I'm going to add it to that spaghetti sauce with that gallon of ragu. That way I've got some meat in there, I got some regular spaghetti sauce in there, and everything will be fine. But one thing I also do when I'm making spaghetti sauce, a lot of people are like, why do you do that? Well, because they're adding things I don't normally would even consider adding. Is Great Value sells spaghetti sauce in a package. Boil water, add this to it, stir it, do it for this, do it for that, now you got spaghetti sauce. Everything is dehydrated in it, and I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that. I've never made spaghetti sauce out of the packet. But every time I make spaghetti sauce, I add the packet or two because it has extra flavors that you normally wouldn't even be adding. The sauce I'm doing right now was a recipe from the Veggie Boys. It's Grandma's recipe. It's how she's always made her spaghetti sauce. They shared it on one of the recent videos. Right after I was right there buying the tomatoes, and I was up here and I'm writing that. I paused the video and I wrote it all down. And I was like, I want that recipe. I didn't use as much oil as they did because I don't like oily spaghetti sauce. I didn't use as much salt as they did because I don't like a salty spaghetti sauce, and it's Canon salt, so it's a little saltier than normal salt. I didn't use as much sugar as they had, although I may go back and add more if when I taste it tomorrow after I run it through the blender. They say start with a half a cup and go up to 1.5 cups. I started with 1 cup. I may go up to 1.5, but I want to taste it first. Oh, I wouldn't add pike to a pond. I would add bass. I would add perch. I would probably add sunfish or bluegill or something like that. But I would never add pike to a pond. Those things are gnarly. They got the teeth of a piranha. I would never add a pike. I don't even like catching pike. Actually, most time when I catch a pike, I just cut the hook off, add another one on, and drop the fish back in the water with hook and all. I don't like pike. I've been bit by them and they're not nice. That's my opinion. Now bass, oh, all day long. Perch, oh, I'd put in as many perch as I could catch, depending on how big the pond is. Perch will only last so long if you don't go out and start catching them when they're big. Give them a chance to spawn, and then you catch the big ones and you take them out of the pond. The little ones have a chance to get big too. But if you just put the big ones into the pond and you don't give them a chance to spawn, or if you do let them spawn and then don't go back out and try to recatch them and take them out of the pond after they spawn, the little ones don't have very much chance of survival because you got too many fish in a small area body of water, and they won't grow to be. You catch a perch 12 inches long, you put it into a pond, you get a male and a female or whatever, or even if it's pregnant, you put it in there. The little ones are only going to be about a quarter of the size of that big one if you don't take the big one out and keep adjusting the flow. That's why we have hunting seasons. That's why we have fishing seasons, is to try to control the population of the animals that are in our wild. If you don't control the population of the animals, then you end up in a situation where deer will be standing in the middle of a Walmart parking lot. You know what I'm saying? You got to control it. So that's what that's for. I feel bad. I hit a baby deer here about 2 months ago with my new car, and I hit him in the back hip, and I broke his back legs because he dropped underneath the tire. And of course, ABC, yeah, ABC, ABS brakes. When you slam onto them, they're not really brakes. They don't skid the tires like the old cars used to. It's like, oh, okay, I'm slowing down, and I slowed down, but I already hit the deer by the time I'm slowing down because he ran right in front of me. He was on the side of the road. I pulled over, and I was slowing down, but he ran right in front of me, and I didn't have any choice but to hit it, and I killed it. I know I did. I didn't actually kill it. I hurt it so bad that it couldn't survive. That's what it was. It couldn't survive. Now today, I'll say the same thing in respect. I'm not a squirrel fan. A lot of people like squirrels. A lot of people feed squirrels. I don't. I shoot at squirrels. You know, throw a squirrel in a frying pan, you got dinner. It tastes like chicken. Today, I watched a truck hit a squirrel, and that squirrel was running around in circles in the middle of the road, and I was right behind that truck, and I hit it too, and it was still running around in circles. The car behind me, it ain't running around in circles no more. His head became part of the pavement, and I'm like, good. Cortland Animal Swap, yes, Natasha, that's actually where almost all of my chickens in my pen right now came from, because I was having an issue with a weasel in my area. And until I got my chicken run done with, like, I did. It's a big fenced in cage that you buy Central Tractor. There's two of them actually. I did that, and then I wrapped it with chicken wire to find out that a weasel can walk through chicken wire. So then I went through and I wrapped it all again in 1/4 inch mesh, or what they call hardware cloth. and I was able to stop that from happening. I went right through. There was a couple Cortland animal swaps I went to. We had one at Central Tractor. I went there, and that's where I bought my white chicken that just had a baby and Little Man, my rooster. Then I went to the one at Country Corner Swap and Shop. A friend of mine, Danny Millard, does that on his property, and I bought my two black chickens from there. I think one of them's a rooster, but it doesn't crow, so I can't be sure. Neither of them lay eggs. They're just big old chickens, and they're dinner. Neither of them lay eggs, and I'm just like, I don't care. The two chickens I had before that I've got, no, actually I got five now because I got a little baby running around in there following Mama, which is the white and gray one. I had two gold chickens before that I got, and they were laying beautiful brown eggs, but the weasel got them before I could get in with that 1/4 inch mash, and then I went in with like 12-inch by 12-inch pavers. I showed a picture. I don't know, it's probably down in the other part of the house. I showed a picture of it where I did 12 by 12 pavers all the way around, and then I did the chicken wire all the way around, and then I went in and I did the 1/4 inch mesh all the way around. I will say this, yesterday I kind of freaked out. I went outside, or I didn't go outside. I looked out the back bedroom window downstairs, which the chicken coop is right there, and there was a rat this big around, without the tail that long, gray, right there. And I seen it, and I was like, all right. I came upstairs, I grabbed my gun, I ran back downstairs. I went out the back patio, and I walked over by the chicken coop. I was locked and loaded and ready to go. That rat seen me and disappeared. I was like, that's all right. I'm going to keep the gun right here on the back patio now, buddy. I know your number. I got you. Today, I looked out the window, and that rat was back. It made it into the chicken coop and went right to their feeder. And my little black chicken, I think it's probably a rooster because roosters are pretty aggressive, but it doesn't crow. It seen that rat going over towards that feeder, and it attacked. And I mean, it attacked. That rat probably got pecked 50 times going about 25 feet. Not even that, probably 15 feet. That chicken was right on him. Peck, 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 peck. All the way to where it got out of the cage, and I was like, all right, I got your number now. So I came upstairs because this is where I keep my rubber gloves because I do a lot of chemical work up here. I put a rubber glove on my hand. I went back downstairs, and I got out my bag of decon, which are like little round balls. And I went out, and where that rat was going in were the areas where the chipmunks were going in, and I just dug them out bigger so it could fit. I filled the whole hole because decon won't hurt a chipmunk. They don't have the internal parts that mice and rats and everything have. They can eat decon, and it doesn't affect them at all. A rat or a mouse, oh yeah, it'll eat it, and it dries them out on the inside so they don't stink so much. So I was like, I'm good with that. So I just went in and I filled the chipmunk holes or the rat holes up with all of these balls of decon. And I was like, I even went down in my basement and threw some down there. I don't think the rat's been in my basement. I don't think they can get in my basement, but I threw them down there too as well. Field mice can get in my basement, so let's just feed them too. And I think I probably spread half a bag of decon. The chickens can't get at it, and if they did, I don't think decon can hurt a chicken either because they don't have the same innards that rats and mice and all that do. I think they're more in line with the chipmunks and squirrels or whatever. I'm not sure. But I didn't put it where they can get at it either, so it's neither here nor there. And one thing I did do was I'm going to put a camera up because this is kind of cool. I looked out the window a couple days ago, and there was a chipmunk standing next to Little Man, my little rooster. He's a bantam rooster, so he doesn't know how to crow proper, but there was a chipmunk in there, and Little Man and the chipmunk were standing side by side eating. And little man didn't care. He's like, yeah, you're cool. We're good. You don't eat that much. I looked back out a few hours later, and they were both laying down beside each other. And I was like, man, I got to get a camera out here. that chipmunk, I know where its hole is. It's right behind my back door, going off my back patio. But I know where his hole is because I've been sitting out there, and it's not afraid of me at all. That chipmunk and I are like almost friends. I could probably reach down and pet it. I know I fed it peanuts before, so it's pretty cool. But I want to get a camera set up out there and just run it and wait for that moment and then say, okay, there we go. Oh, speaking of getting cameras out, this is on my phone. I don't know if I can show it on here or not, but I want to try. I did a video today. No, I did a video yesterday. Sorry. I did a video yesterday. Let's see, what's that called? Gallery. This is only a minute long. These are some of our wildflowers here in New York right now. Those are white with a purple center. And they're just growing wild everywhere. Those are purple with yellow center. Same breed of flower, I believe, because they look a lot alike. I wish I didn't have that light on in the back to see them better. I have no idea what any of these are, but that one was pretty cool. I got some. These look like baby's breath. They're really, really tiny flowers. But I don't think baby breath is like natural to New York. And then that's goldenrod. You know? I mean, it's pretty cool to be able to do that and look at things or whatnot. I decided after I mowed my lawn yesterday, I had to get the phone out and go back and walk back where I found all these flowers and just record some of them going, well, all these other YouTube channels are always showing like flowers and spiders and whatnot going on in their area. I never do that. And I was like, well, I got to get some of that. It'll be a B-roll on a video at some point in time. I don't know when. But yeah, Natasha, back to your question. If you want to buy animals, if you go to any animal swap, doesn't have to be Cortland, it can be anywhere. Go to an animal swap, and there's a really, really good chance you're going to find chickens, goats, ducks, turkeys, rabbits, anything you want. You won't find horses and ponies and stuff like that, of course. Sorry for the horse farm, but you won't find those. But yeah, I mean, all the smaller animals are all available. When I bought my last chickens, they actually came with the cage. I asked the lady, well, what will you charge me for the cage? And she says, you buy these 2 chickens, I'm going to give you the cage. So I'm going to say that cage probably would have been worth probably, I don't know, $30, $35. I paid $30 for 2 chickens, and I got the cage for free. Now, if I want to buy more, I got a cage to put them in. My 2 gold chickens, when I got those, they weren't big chickens by any means. They were almost egg layers, but not quite ready yet. I just put them into a tote, put the top on, but didn't lock it down, and drove back home, which is, I don't know, 40 minutes from where I bought them at. I kept picking the top up and talking to them on the drive and stuff and trying to calm them down because they were kind of going nuts a little bit. By the time I got home, they were all calm and cool and collective, and I just took them out to the chicken coop, opened the top, introduced them to the chicken run, and they were happy. They were happy. They're like, oh, good. We got food. We got shelter. We got everything we need. The only thing I will say, the chickens I got now, the only ones that go into the coop at night are the baby and the baby's mama. The rest of them sit on top of the coop, and sleep up there. When I thought I lost my baby, it was actually in under mama's arm. I'm looking at the other chickens because I got to walk across the top edge of the coop and going, don't peck me, don't peck me. Went in, opened up the door, checked in on mama. Oh, there's some brown feathers shining up behind her wing. Okay, baby's in with mama. Life goes on. Close the door. Get the heck out of here. And one thing I do have to do, and I've been talking about this for a while, and I haven't done it yet because I'm just kind of waiting. I wanted to see if I could get another baby. But one thing I do have to do is I have to go in and all the eggs that mama had laid. Last time I checked, there was only 4. I need to remove any eggs that are in mama's area because I don't know how old they are. I know they're very old by one. I mean, the little chicken is getting pretty big. Not big enough to like fend itself, but it's pretty big. It follows mama around every day and stuff, and it goes back into the coop at night. So that's fine. I accept that. But I have to go out there and get rid of all the other eggs that are in there because I don't know which ones are the new ones, which ones are the old ones, and right now I really don't need any of them. I'm not raising chickens because I want the eggs. I kind of raised the chickens. Is there a way to block a YouTube channel? Yeah, don't watch it. Why? Did I say something wrong, Robin? Yeah, I don't have a need for eggs. I'm just raising chickens for chickens, you know. They're cool. Actually, I've been thinking about probably getting a couple goats next year. If I do, I want dwarf goats. I want the little ones, you know. Why do I need a goat? Well, I don't, but I think they're pretty cool, and I wouldn't mind having them. Okay, Annabelle, thank you. I thought maybe I offended you. It's too easy to do that to people these days. Uh, if you don't want to see it come your way, when you're on YouTube, I think there's an X in the top of the window that you can click on, and you'll never see another thing about that channel again, unless this is the big one. Unless you are somebody who said, "I want to follow this channel." If you say you want to follow a channel and they put a video out, and you go to that X and you take that video down, the next video they put up will show back up again because you didn't want to see that video, but you were a friend of theirs, so you want to see all the rest. Robin, thank you. I appreciate that, guy. Yeah, I'm reading your message. I appreciate that, guy. Thanks, Robin. Actually, for anybody that's on here, as of today, I lowered our prices back to $1 a package. It's for seeds. All of our prices, seeds, soaps, all that stuff went back to what it was before I raised the prices, and they will stay that way until election day because this next election is very important to me. We have a choice between good and evil, and I'm voting for good. I'm not telling you who I'm voting for, but I'm voting for good. And anybody that knows me knows who I'm voting for anyway. I normally wear the hat. Oh, Natasha, I actually had a glass uh, table in my living room, coffee table. And my wife got mad at me one day and she whipped an empty VCR or VHS case at me. It hit that table and shattered the table, and I'm going, I thought you were supposed to be tempered steel. I got hit with shrapnel. That table shouldn't have broke with plastic hitting it like that. It wasn't like she hit it real hard. She couldn't throw for crap, but she hit the table with the VHS tape case, and it shattered the table. And I was like, "What?" Yeah, and it's hard to find. It's hard to find other tabletops that are tempered glass. That was the thing I was getting to. I wouldn't put a table in my house that was glass unless I had a tempered glass top. because when they break, they don't shatter. I mean, they do, but they don't send out shrapnel. It's all glued in within layers. It breaks and it just stays where it's broke. Tempered glass is awesome for that. But in the same respect, if you go somewhere and want a glass tempered, they have to cut it prior to doing the tempering of the glass because those plastic coatings make it so when they cut it, they can't take the excess off of it. You have to break all the glass off around the outside edge after you cut the glass. Then you put the plastic layers onto it to temper it. Then you're good. But if you put the plastic layers on first, you can't cut it with like a regular glass cutter and just break it apart. It won't work. It won't work. Robin A, I actually had that happen too. It was one of them that had the hole for the umbrella. The umbrella was there, but it wasn't put out. And it was like a 105-degree day. And a buddy of mine set his cold beer can down on that table and boom, it disappeared. It disappeared right there in front of our eyes. The whole table disappeared. The umbrella fell over. It knocked the table bottom over, but the whole top of that just went boom, gone. And I was like, dude, how cold is your beer? I had to go out and vacuum the yard to get rid of the glass because you couldn't rake it up. You know, a leaf rake, you got tongs that are like this far apart pulling up the leaves. You can't do that with glass because they got little tiny shards in there. So I had to go out with a shop vac and shop back my yard to get the glass out of my yard. My son at the time was crawling, and I was like, yeah, I can't have him crawling across this area. Holy crap. So I'm out there with a shop vac in my yard. My neighbors are laughing at me. You know, I mean, it was midsummer, so there weren't any leaves on the ground. I did try the leaf rake. I thought, well, maybe that'll clean it up. Yeah, no, that ain't gonna happen. I was like, oh, what else we got? All right, we'll go buy a shop vac. I bought a 5-gallon shop vac, and I was out there in my yard, shop vac in my yard to get the glass out of my yard, and my neighbors are out there laughing at me. This idiot's over here vacuuming his yard. Yes, I am, because I just had a table just totally implode on me because somebody put a cold beer can on top of a hot table and it shattered it. Speaking of which, that's where I'm at now. I'm in the middle of getting ready to can spaghetti sauce. I was talking about this earlier. If you don't pre-warm your jars in the oven, I mean, you don't have to get them hot. You can take them up to like, I don't know, I think 180 to 200 degrees is good. Pre-warm your jars before you take your hot stuff and put them into the jars. And then while it's still hot, put your caps, wash them off, put your caps on, and then put them into the hot water bath canner. If you don't do that first, you have a really good chance of making a heck of a mess in your house. If they're at room temperature and you're taking it out of like my roaster right now is probably running about 250 degrees, give or take. If I fill those jars up at the outdoor temperature, not my inside temperature, but my outdoor temperature, those jars stand a really good chance of breaking. A lot of people don't understand that. Same thing with like pressure canning. One of the first things I learned about pressure canning, don't turn it all the way up to where it's ready to boil. Get it to where it's hot. Take your jars, fill them all up, set them into the pressure canner, put the top on, lock it down, take the weight off the top, then crank up your burner, and wait till you see the steam coming up out of the peephole on top where the weight sets. When the steam's constantly coming up out of that, then put your weight on and wait for it to start to rattle because it's got to get up to temperature again. Pressure canners used to be scary. I refused to use one for many, many years because everybody said, oh man, them pressure canners are dangerous. Yeah, I get they can be if you don't learn how to use it first. You could have a jar blow up in a pressure canner. You're not going to get hurt by that jar, but if you take that lid off, without relieving the pressure from it, oh yeah, it's gonna fly. It's gonna fly. It's just like the Instapots. Instapots are actually pressure canners. Basically, it's just a smaller version. I have both, and Robin, I have a water bath canner. It came with a wire rack, which I don't like because we have hard water. That wire rack is so covered in rust right now that I don't use it anymore. And then I went out and I bought a Presto pressure canner with the aluminum bottom plate. That actually fits into my water bath canner, but I don't normally use water bath canning anymore. I've been canning meats, and meats. Hey, they have to be pressure canned. You can't put them in a water bath canner and expect it to work. So I bought a pressure canner just for that purpose. I've got barbecue chicken. I've got regular cooked chicken. I've got steak. I've got hamburger. I've got all this kind of stuff. It's all canned, you know, and I use my pressure canner for all of it. If it doesn't have meat and I don't need to pressure can it, I just set the lid on top. But I follow the same rules. Take the weight off top. Wait till the steam comes out. Set the weight back on top. Just don't lock the lid down. And then water bath it can for however long it needs to be. I actually have a recipe for Bush's baked beans. You put 1 inch of water into your pressure canner, and then you leave the pressure canner at high temperature for 90 minutes. I don't know how much you pay for bush beans, but I know 90 minutes of running my stove is probably close to the cost of about 4 cans of Bush's baked beans. I think the recipe I got would make probably 12, 14 8-ounce jars. I think something like that. I don't do quarts. There's two of us that live in this household, so all of my spaghetti sauce is going to go into 8-ounce jars because we don't have a need to do quarts. Quarts to me is just a waste. If I'm going to do like tomorrow, I'm going to put a bunch of meatballs into a crock pot and then pour like a lot of spaghetti sauce on it. Then yeah, that's not a waste because I'm going to use the meatballs to put in my sauce, and I'm going to use meatballs. We're going to have hot meatball sandwiches for dinner. But things like that, I just look at it as being some things is just a waste. When you only have two people and you don't really eat that much, an 8-ounce jar of spaghetti sauce, it's not a big jar. Heck, what's this jar? This is 16 ounces. You know, for two people, 8 ounces is more than enough spaghetti sauce. I could do a half quart if I wanted to. I got those jars, and I may do some of them as well. But my thinking is, and the whole reason why I got into doing a lot of this canning and stuff was, if I buy land in Arkansas, I'm going to be the only one driving to Arkansas and working that land until that land is ready to leave New York and get to Arkansas. And I don't need a big can of Hunt spaghetti sauce if I do spaghetti at all. I don't know. Maybe I won't. And my big thing has been doing a lot of different jellies. I did make a cherry jelly that I have to put back into the pan and bring back up to a boil and probably leave it there for another minute and a half or so and then recan it afterwards because it came out like water. It didn't gel the way it was supposed to. And then all the meats and stuff, I can just leave that out in the sunlight and it'll get warm and life goes on. I can eat, you know. I don't need to have all these stove sources and everything else available. I do have an induction burner so I can boil water for spaghetti or whatever. And then I can pour some sauce into a pan and heat that up real quick and life goes on. But yeah, I don't have a need or a want to go there, spend all my money at the grocery store or spend all my money at the restaurants. I know David goes and gets his toasties every morning. That's up to him. That's his option. Me? Nah. I just need to be able to plug in the toaster and have toast in the morning to go with my coffee or something else like a muffin or something with my coffee. I can make muffins myself. I won't be doing it down there but until I get settled in. But until then, just substance. You know, you got to have food, you got to have protein. And until then, you know, peanut butter is good protein. Until then, I'm not going to be like cooking big meals or anything like that. Just, are you hungry? Okay, great. Grab something to eat. I've got all kinds of stuff like that going on. Yes, Robin. I really believe Domino is the reason why Dave decided he needed to go get his toasters in the morning. It wasn't because Dave wanted them, it was because Domino was hungry, and Domino didn't want to eat the same boring dog food he eats all the time. So David had to go out of his way to take Domino to go get his toaster. No, I don't believe that in a minute. Domino just goes into the truck for a ride because Domino needs to get off the property for a while. It's hard to say no to any dog. Come on. I could have a black Labrador. And he'd be like, oh, I want breakfast. I want breakfast. All right, we'll get in the truck. We're going to go get breakfast. You know, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. You know, any dog. Heck, I was at Walmart today and I freaked out. There was people pushing the cart, but they put a blanket in the basket of the cart so you couldn't see what was inside of it. It was a little tiny baby Dachshund. And I was like, oh, I bet they don't make it through the dog treat aisle without buying something. When you put a blanket into the basket of a cart and you put your little tiny dog in there. We actually were at Walmart one day and I laughed about it. A lady had gone back to the housewares area and stuff, and she put a laundry basket in her cart and then put her dog in the laundry basket. A cute little dog. And I give her no crap for it. She put the basket in there because the paws were so small that they were falling through the bottom of the cart. So she put a laundry basket in there, put the dog in the laundry basket. And I was like, that's too cute. We went over, we talked to her for a while, met the dog, petted the dog, it's a beautiful dog. I went back to where pet supplies were, and there were dog beds that fit inside that basket. And I went and got a dog bed. I brought it back over. I picked her dog up. I put the bed down. I put the dog back on it. And I says, ma'am, you don't have to buy this if you don't want to. But I will tell you this much right now. If you want to keep your dog comfortable in Walmart without just dropping it into a laundry basket, you're not going to buy it at the end of the day. I'll pay for the laundry basket and I'll pay for the dog bed. Keep them in your car so every time you come back, your dog is comfortable. It cost me $45. I can throw $45 away faster doing nothing than helping somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, oh my God, you're actually going to pay for this? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Actually, on the same topic of that, I shattered my heel 3.5 years ago, so I've been on workman's comp ever since. I had to go to this place called Hanger Orthopedics and go down and talk to them and have them make me a special shoe insert that made it so when I'm standing on my foot, my heel was not touching the bottom of the shoe. And while I was waiting to get into the office, there was a lady there that couldn't pay her bill. And they told her right straight out, if you can't pay the bill, you can't take your orthopedic with you. And I could tell she was in need. She says, well, I don't have anything with me to be able to do this. You're not accepting my credit card. You're not accepting my checks. I don't have anything else to give you. And I said to the lady behind the counter, I says, hold on. Come here, talk to me. And she's like, what? I says, what's her bill? And she says, it's like $525. I said, and she doesn't have a way to pay that bill right now, so she can't take what she needs to leave. And she says, yeah, that's the issue. I handed her my card and I says, put it on my card. That one's on me. And she's like, "Are you freaking serious?" And I says, "Yes, I am." And so she took my card. She billed it out for the lady. That lady came around and she gave me a big hug and she says, "Oh my God, sir, I don't know how I can pay you back. If you give me your phone number or address or something, I'll get a hold of you and I'll give you your money back." And I looked at her and says, "No, just pay it forward. I don't want it back. Pay it forward." I had no care about that. My thing was I need to get in, I need to get out, and she's in the way. And I had the money to do it. Now I was just like, nope, done. I just told her, pay it forward. I know she did. I know she did. There's no way she didn't. Even though she didn't have the means to pay it that day, I know darn well she paid it forward. There's no doubt. I've done that in grocery stores. I don't know how many times I have been in a grocery store, Leah and I both. We'll be in a grocery store and there'll be a parent at the checkout where the kid wants to get something and the father or the mother would say, "We don't have the money for that." It's the only thing the kid wants. It's probably a drink or a small bag of chips or something like that. It's really cheap stuff anyway. But yeah, you look at the cart and they've got like a 30 pack of beer and all kinds of meat and all this other high end items. But no, we can't let the daughter get a bag of chips or a small drink or something like that. And Lee and I both do this. We're like, no, you can't do without your beer. We can't do without giving your child what they're asking for because it's only like $1 or two. I mean, it's serious. That's how bad our society is today. People won't do something for a kid. I just seen one on Facebook today. This little girl was walking beside her father and she says, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, I really want an ice cream." And he looked at her and says, "Yeah, me too, honey, but mommy only gave me enough money to buy 3 beers." I wanted to share that because that's the way our society is. Don't worry about your kid, worry about yourself. I'm sorry. That's the wrong way for society to be going down the line. And that's the reason why I am voting the way I'm voting November 5th. Again, I'm not going to be political about it. I'm not telling you who I'm voting for, but most people that know me know who I'm voting for. If you follow my Facebook page, it's damn obvious. But yeah, I hate seeing that stuff going down. It bothers me. You don't care about your kid enough to give your kid something that they want, but you can take everything from your kid to get what you want. That's just so wrong in society. So wrong. Robin A. Uh, yeah, actually, I'm sorry, Robin. Atasha, yes, it's Leah, but it's not Leyah. It's Leh. She's not like my Leah. She's just a Leah. And back to Robin, yes. I don't think I will be there by next year. I've got a lot going on. You know, this is a 1900 farmhouse. I finally just this week figured out how I'm gonna. I have to cut the front of the stairs off so I can rebuild the whole stair system and leave in place what's there. And I'm gonna be doing it with cherry. Well, it's a 9-inch wide step. I'm pretty sure I don't have any 9-inch boards out in my stockpile. I got a whole truckload full of it. I'm pretty sure there's not any 9-inch boards. If there are, I'd be really amazed. But even if there was, there's not enough to do 13 steps coming up with an angle step getting into the upper hallway. So I'm going to be having to cut boards. I'm going to cut them to length, run through the planer, run through the joiner so I got good straight edges, glue them up, get rid of the glue, run through the planer again or my wide belt sander and get them down to the thickness I want. You know, I don't want them real thick. All of my boards are in the neighborhood of about 1.25 inches, or what they call 5/4 boards. I don't want them thicker than 1 inch. And once I figure out the first step, they'll tell me what I need to do for my risers, which I think is about an 8 inch. And if that is 8 inch, I know almost every board I got out there. It's a whole truckload. I mean, we're talking a 20-foot U-Haul trailer or U-Haul truck that was half full of cherry boards. So I got to cut them to length. I got to run them through the planer, get them down the thickness I want, run through the joiner so I can get glue. I just glue them up, clean them up, and then run them through the joiner again, or run them through the wide belt sander to get them cleaned up, and then glue them down. I'm not gonna have any nails. Everything's gonna be glued down. Liquid nails is gonna be holding all of my stairs together, because liquid nails glued to the step that's below it will make it so there's no creak, there's no noise. It's solid, and I like that idea. We've already had to go through and run screws from underneath up into the risers to stop the steps from bending down when we go up and down the stairs. So I'm adding boards on top of boards and gluing them together, so there's no movement in the stairs at all. And because of the glue, even if there was movement, they can't creak together. They can't creak because they're not touching each other. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I mean, the risers, I may make, like, run the boards through the table saw and get them down to a thinner level to where they're not very wide. I may do that because they don't need to be that wide, but I'm still going to glue them. And those I'll probably have to nail as well, just because, the weight of the board isn't going to make it stay in place, because it's going to be at a vertical length. So I might have to go with my brad nailer and just throw a couple nails in each corner or whatever, but they'll be glued as well. So once they're there, they're there. I just think I might have to use brad nails in order to hold them in place. But I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem running the boards through my table saw on edge and cutting them down to thinner boards and then putting them in my planer and bringing them down to all the same thickness either. That's not an issue. My main issue is I have to cut the boards. I have to run through the planer to get them to kind of the thickness I want, or at least get it so that there's edges on it, so I can run it through the table saw along the fence, and then run it on the planer to be able to go through, or run it on the joiner to go through and get a good glue line on it. And then after that, glue them up. Like I say, my wood shop right now is terrible. And Monday, I am going to be hitting my wood shop. My employee, Jimmy, does awesome woodworking, but he's not a clean guy. And my wood shop my garage looks like hell. I got to go in and I got to clean all that out. I'm actually looking towards maybe getting a dumpster brought in and just saying, hey, drop a dumpster right here. Let me go in and clean all this garbage out that I don't need in my garage right now. If it's sellable, I'll sell it. If it's not, put it in a dumpster. I think I could probably fill a medium-sized dumpster. And most of it is just garbage, If it's wood, I have a little fire pit in my backyard. I may ignore that fire pit, pull it off to the side and say, don't use that. And just take all this scrap wood that's in the garage and just put it into the pile and light it up and have a mini bonfire or whatever. Because I have to have access to my wood shop. All right, Robin, you and I are on the same page. Thank you. I'm of the opinion that when a certain party says this person's doing that, and it's been proven, that person ain't doing it. You are. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about liars? There's liars. Hey, Malvin, Donnie, you have a good night. There's liars. And I just shared, if you follow me on Facebook, I just shared a couple videos today that prove who the liar is, and it's not the T-Man. It's not the T-Man at all. I'm not going to tell you who it is because you only got one other option, and you already know. All right, guys. Hey, you know what? I didn't realize it, but it's 9:23 at night. I'm only supposed to go till 9 o'clock. Well, that's cool. We got a little farther into it. Nobody jumped into the green room, unfortunately, but that's okay. But yeah, I'm going to call this one a night, mainly because I'm ready for a cigarette. I've been doing good. Don't get me wrong. I've been doing really good. I don't light my first cigarette till an hour and a half after I get out of bed and start drinking coffee. I did my Pennsylvania trip all the way down there to visit with the veggie boys and come back home with my mom. And the only time I could smoke is when the car was stopped. And the only time we could stop on the way down was picking her up. I smoked a cigarette in the parking lot because we sat there drinking coffee for an hour and a half. I smoked a cigarette before I left her parking lot. We drove all the way down to Drum, Pennsylvania, which is about a 2.5 hour drive. When we got to the Oaks Farm Market, I got out of the car. I smoked a cigarette in their parking lot. Not the whole thing. I smoked half of it. Then we went into the farm market, and we were there for, God, I'm going to say an hour and a half talking to Pops and everybody else. And I went back out and loaded Mom in the car, and I smoked the other half of the cigarette. Then we went to lunch at a place called Tom's Kitchen, Pennsylvania. If you ever get a chance, go there. I'm going to be honest with you. It's in Drum, Pennsylvania area. Go to Tom's Kitchen in Pennsylvania. That place is so cool. They have items on their menu you will not find at any other restaurant, I swear. It was just, wow. They actually do crab cakes, homemade crab cakes, and a bunch of other stuff too. And I was like, that is cool. I was going through the menu. My mom's like, I just want a bowl of soup and a half of a croissant ham sandwich. Yeah, I just want a bowl of chili and a cup of chili and a half croissant sandwich. We buy the sandwich, we have them cut it in half, bring us 2 plates. Life goes on. We both get some fries. You want your soup? Onion soup. I want my chili. Life goes on. And I was like, all right, that's cool. We had left there, got ready to leave there, and I told my mom I should go ahead and sit in the car for a bit. I'm going to smoke a cigarette before I'm getting back on the road. I got another 2.5 hour drive back, and I am not stopping from point A to point B. You know, I already put myself. Good night, Natasha. I already put myself at where I don't smoke my first cigarette until an hour and a half after I get out of bed, which is very unusual because it used to be while you're making your coffee, you're lighting your first cigarette, and I don't do that anymore. I wait, and then I can do these long drives. Of course, I'm in a loaner car. I can't smoke in the car, so that kind of helps too. Hopefully, I keep the loaner car for longer than I want to, but you know. And the lady at Caswell Cancer Institute, Caswell Park, told me, if you're willing to do this and you're able to do this, you're already 50% of the way towards quitting. And my only reason for not quitting today, right now, is because I have cigarettes left. If those cigarettes are still sitting in my house, I could quit today and start back up 2, 3, 4, 5 days later because I know I got something to smoke, and if my nerves get on end, I'm going to smoke them anyway. I do have menthol cigarettes available, but to be honest, I hate menthol cigarettes. So those aren't an option. It's not like an enticement to want to go smoke a cigarette. I hate menthol. The only reason why I bought them is because last year I caught a really, really bad cold. And because of that bad cold, menthol was the only thing I could smoke. But I'd smoke one, and then it'd be like 7 hours later. Okay, I'll do another one, but I really don't like them. To me, that's like taking medicine you don't need. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not into that. I'm not into that at all. I take medicine that I do need. I don't take medicine I don't need. Menthol cigarettes, that's like, you just got to have a cigarette. Yeah, it's not really a cigarette. Sorry. It takes the urge away for a little bit, but I can't handle the flavor. I can't handle all the shit that it brings to me. And it's like, yeah, not. One thing they did tell me, though, at Caswell Park, and this was hard to find, you got to buy the big cinnamon candies. Let's see if I can pull that up. They call them cinnamon dusks. Walmart doesn't sell them at all. I went to Dollar General. I bought the 3 bags they had on their shelf. And then I went to Dollar Tree, which is a totally different area in my town, local. And I bought a smaller bag for the same price. And that's in my car. Not my car, their car. That's in their car. Because when I brought that car home, 2.5 hour drive, I stopped at a McDonald's. I got something to eat. I smoked half of a cigarette or better out in the parking lot. Called it good enough. And then I drove probably another hour and a half. And then I stopped again at a place which is really cool. It's called Peaks Parks Family Peak or something like that. Overlooks all of Skaneateles Lake. And I parked there and I got out and I was smoking a cigarette there. But the wind was blowing so hard next to the lake. I was just like, I'm sitting at the car. I got the door open to block the wind, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I'm leaning out of the car to keep the smoke out of the car. And I didn't even go halfway through a cigarette, and I was just like, screw this. It's not worth it. Get out of here. And I didn't smoke again until I got the rest of the way home, which was about another 45 minutes. So it was pretty cool. All right, well, everybody's dropping out. I'm going to drop out. You all have a good night. See you later.